Hello Stampers, this is Jeannie Moss, the Bluegrass Stamper here in Kentucky, and I'm back with another installment, a project from my Butterfly Brilliance Collection class. I had several customers that ordered the Butterfly Brilliance Collection and it came with a free class. So I prepared the packets and everybody picked up their packets and I mailed them out and they were asked to provide a few things. But everything else I provided. So this is one of the cards. This is the third card that we've done. And this is a book fold card. So it's got a bound edge over here and it opens like so. So if you didn't see the first two projects that we did, this was the first one. We used a window sheet to create that clear window. So you can go back and find that one. That was project number 1. This was project number 2. This is a center panel easel fold card. So this panel comes up and stands up like an easel. And then again, like I said before, this is our project number 3. With the Butterfly Brilliance Collection, it came with a stamp set. This is one big stamp that has all the butterflies on it. So I recommend that you use that stamp with the Stamparatus, simply because if you don't get a good impression, you ink that up, you stamp it. If you don't get a good impression, you can go back and ink that up again and stamp in the exact same spot and till you get a really nice impression. And it is a little harder with these larger stamps to get a good impression the first time. So I recommend that. We did not actually use the stamp in the class. The collection came with DSP, Designer Series paper, and the Designer Series paper had this beautiful paper that cut out all of these butterflies. So all these butterflies came from this paper. So I asked each of our participants in the class to cut one of these. So with one pass through the Big Shot, they were able to cut all 6 of those butterflies. The die is this guy. So he's big. He'll cut out all those butterflies that are stamped. So you can cut all of these out. And then if you were lucky enough to get that paper before it was gone, you could cut those butterflies out of the paper. Now, the projects that we're doing, you could just as easily cut out the stamped images and color those and make all these projects. And this die set came not only with these, but there's another set that it came with, the detail dies. And our project from the window sheet, on the back of our butterfly that was cut from the DSP, we used this large die on a piece of black and cut out one for the back of the butterfly for the inside of the card. So those dies are all included with this bundle. And then the stamp that I showed you on the Stamparatus. So we're going to get started on our card. Like I said, I did ask them to provide from their own DSP the butterflies. They cut the butterflies, and then they also used some of the other DSP. Everything else I provided, but they did provide their own DSP for these projects. One of the DSPs that is a specialty paper was this wood grain paper. And we cut a piece of that to use on this card. So if you cut a piece of this that is 3 3/4 by 4 1/2, and then we cut off 3/4 of an inch. So we have a 3 3/4 inch square, and then we have a 3 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch strip. And those are the ones that will be going on this card. So our pieces for this card, besides that, we have a card base, and this is a half sheet of cardstock. So it's cut, excuse me, it's cut vertically, and it's 4 1/4 by 11. And then it is scored at 5.5, which is our normal half size score, and 6 3/4. So the card is then folded on that 5.5, and then we have this 6 3/4 inch score. And what we're going to do for that is we will just be folding this back on that score line. And then we will be placing adhesive or glue, whatever you'd like to use, on that section that is in between the two score lines. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue or your tape runner, whatever it is you like to use, your seal. And we're just going to close that down and seal that. And that's how easy it is to get this cute fun fold. So again, you're scored at 5.5, 6 3/4, and then you're just sealing that center section closed. All right, then we have a piece of white. The white is 4x4, and that's the piece that will go inside the card. If you want to stamp that, you can. I haven't done that yet. I'm not sure what this card's going to be quite yet, so I have not chosen a sentiment for it. So that goes inside the card. Now on the outside of the card, I cut some really pretty foliage. And I used the Forever Fern. I did not use the stamps, but I used the dies from that bundle. So these are the Forever Flourishing dies. I used this big one, and I used the other larger one that are more, the two that are detailed. So I used both of those, and I just cut those out and gave everybody a piece. I also used this one with some gold. So this is this guy, and excuse me, this is the small, a little bit smaller one, and then this is the piece that was cut out of the gold. So I used all three of those dies for this. So the piece that I cut this large one out of, it's a mint macaron square, and it's 4x4. And we saved this piece because we're going to use this as the layer of our card. You won't see this big hole in the center, so I always like to use my layers that are going to be covered to cut things out so that I'm saving paper. So that's a good way to be frugal and a good paper saving tip for you. And we're just going to take this guy and put some adhesive on him, and we will glue him to this right panel of this card, the part that opens. And just center it. We've got a little bit of a border going around it. So there's that. These, if you're bothered by those, you could glue those down, or you could take them off, either way. We also had a strip of mint that is 1x4. So we're going to put it right on that little binding part of the card. And I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. So this is me. You get it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So our wood paper or wood grain paper is going to go right over the top of those. So we're going to cover up that big ugly hole. And it will stick down any of those pieces that you got kind of floating around. Like I said, you could cut those off if you wanted to. And then we'll also be putting the little strip over on our binding area. All right. So there's the front of our card. Then what I did with the foliage, I took the scissors and I just cut some pieces. And I just trimmed those a little bit to get them apart. And if you have any places like that where they're flat, you'll just trim those down into more of a point. So here is one piece. And you could even cut that in half if you wanted. And then there's a couple of pieces of that. So we're going to be gluing these down, and you can use as much or as little of this. I think I probably won't even use that big one. I think I'm going to use this one. Excuse me. So you could use as much, or you could use all of this. If you wanted to cut that off, you could still use a piece of that. And we're just going to be layering these. We're going to be layering them together. And you can see that our butterfly is going to be covering up that hole. So we'll stick these down. And if you want to cut the stems off, you can. It doesn't hurt, won't hurt a thing. If you think they're going to be sticking out too much. Let's put that one down. I'm going to go ahead and stick this one on too. Just a little bit of glue on him. Put this one down at the bottom. And I know this is like watching paint dry, I'm sorry. And then I took this one that's a little darker green. This lighter one is the Mint Macaron, and the darker green is the Just Jade. And I cut some pieces off of him. And I just stuck those over the top. I actually used this big one. Trim him down just a little bit. Shape him up a little bit where I trimmed him down. All right, so I'm going to glue those guys on. Actually, I'm not going to glue him on yet. I'm going to put the gold on first. So I'm going to just cut this gold one in half. I'm going to put this one at the top. I'm kind of keeping that same, trying to keep that same kind of curve across the top. Oh, I didn't glue him down. Take him off there. All right, so there he goes. Now I'll put these darker ones on. And you may need to press these a little to get them to stay where you want them. I've got glue on my fingers now, so now they want to stick to me. I'll tell you something that's really good to get the glue off your fingers is the liquid hand sanitizer. Here in Kentucky, we have bourbon distilleries, and during the COVID crisis, when they couldn't get hand sanitizers, the bourbon distilleries started producing hand sanitizer. And so it's a liquid, it's not a gel. But I put some in just a little spray bottle, and spray that on my finger or on my blocks or whatever has glue, and it works really well to take the glue off. All right, so now we're going to use our pink butterfly and our orange butterfly. If you were stamping and coloring, you could use whatever you wanted. And I'm going to just put some pop dots, some dimensionals on the back of this. And I'm going to put them closer. I'm not going to put any right under this edge because I'm going to slide that hoop up under there. So I'm going to keep them on this part of the butterfly. So I'll put one there and then put one over here. And then now I can stick this guy down. You want to stay away from the fold, because if you put it here, your card's not going to open. So stay away from the fold a little bit, so your card will open. And stick that down. So, and then this is one of the gold hoops. I love these guys. They're discontinued, so if you like these, you should try to get some of those before they're gone. And I'm going to put 3 glue dots on here, just around, kind of equidistant around the rim. And then I'm going to pick off the coverings. And this Take Your Pick tool is really good for that. It's got this sharp little tool for that. And then I'm just going to kind of press these down on that, kind of roll them up so that the adhesive is all up on the rim. Maybe you can see that. I hope my head wasn't in the way. And then we'll slide this underneath our butterfly and stick it down. Then we've got our other butterfly, and we'll put a dimensional on the back of him too, and we want to keep it down towards his bottom so that he will slide up over that as well. So I'm putting that right down at the bottom. And then this will go like that. So we're doing really well so far. Now I wanted to punch. You could use a circle punch, a hole punch, whatever, but I saw a tip from another demonstrator, and I'm not sure who it was, maybe Amy Conders, I'm not 100% sure, but she used the, oh gosh, and now I don't know what the name of this is. She used this label punch, and she brought that, we're gonna bring that into the edge, just a tiny bit. You don't wanna go beyond the arrow part of it. You don't wanna go up into the flat part, and you wanna center it between the, on your wood. So we're just gonna take a little chunk out of that, and we're gonna do the very same thing on the other side. So just come in just a tiny bit, and what that's gonna do is just give us a little place for our twine to live. So now we'll take this twine, which mine is now in a knot. This is how it goes, right? When you're trying to do a video. Alrighty, there we go. And we're just going to bring that around and even up the tails a little bit. And you can see that having those notches helps to hold that in place. Need to have a little bit more on this end. All right, and then I'm just going to take my finger and push it down right there, and I'm going to carefully tie this up. I want it tight. All right. Oh gosh. I know. All right, let me tie that again. All right, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to, that's too short that way. All right, more that way. I am not making this look easy. And I usually don't have that kind of trouble. All right, so I'm gonna hold that really tight and I'm gonna bring this around through the loop and tie that in a knot. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull that little piece off of there. The reason that's sticking is because I've put glue on the ends of my gold twine, because this gold twine wants to ravel. So I always use a little bit of glue on the ends of it to keep it from raveling. And then I'm going to tie that in and get a bow, get it like I want it, and then I can trim the ends of that. And actually you can also put a little dab of glue in the center of that bow, and that'll kind of lock that bow down in place. So just a little bit, and then you can trim your ends. And I would put a little bit of glue on each of those ends so that they don't fray. Hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just using a little bit of glue. I'm using my fingers, and I'm going to put some on this other end too. Got enough on my fingers for that. And then that is the card. So I think it's a really pretty card. I also like a little sparkle. So I did not add any jewels to this one, but I did add Wink of Stella to our butterflies. And if you're not familiar with Wink of Stella, this is a, it's a clear, I'm not gonna call it paint, but it's clear and it's full of glitter. So it has a lot of sparkle to it. So we all need more sparkle, or at least I know I need more sparkle. So I'm gonna sparkle up both these guys. And it's real quick and it dries very quickly, but it really does add a lot. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. I'll hold it up to the camera and try to move it so that maybe the light would hit it and you could see the sparkle. So this was project number 3. So I have one more project using this Butterfly Brilliance collection. Like I said, these are the 3 that we've done so far. And I have one more project, so I'll be back with a video on that. So for those of you who purchased this Butterfly Brilliance collection, I really appreciate you. Thanks for supporting my business and letting me be your demonstrator. And I'll be back with the last project. Thanks. Bye.